Well, hello folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm going a bit close, hopefully the microphone will pick it up on the thing. Yeah, so I thought I'd do something different today to the for the channel, and it's basically a chat on what got me into the hobby and the first parts of the hobby that I can remember. So, as with most people my age, I think we all started off with the 54mm 1/32 scale Airfix figures. I think for me at the time it was the Cowboys, Indians and Cavalry. Obviously some of us got the World War II, I got a bit of it, but I tend to play with the Cowboys, Indians and Cavalry figures. I also got into the 1/72, which is about 20mm. Yeah, the plastics were a lot different then than they are now. A lot of it's soft. Back then it was quite more rigid plastic. Detail was a bit more sharper on them. Yeah, so, and I used to buy them, and then my dad started painting somewhat for me with the old enamel paints. I learnt to do a bit myself, and at that point I was quite content with those, until my neighbours across the road, they had two sons, and they came back one day with these little lead figures, or alloy figures. I think more lead in them then than there is now, and I was quite interested to ask them where they got them from, and there was a shop used to go down Yon Hill, or downhill from us. It was actually, we used to call it the Warhammer shop, way before Warhammer World Warhammer shops that are available now. So I used to go down there. I went with them one day. I had a nose round out, like a kid in a candy shop. Not one thing in there was plastic. It was all metal figures, role-playing board games. Here we go. Role-play board games, various other things around at that period before Games Workshop and Citadel combined and became the big thing that it is now. Yes, I went in there like a kid in a candy store, started looking around. Didn't buy anything at the time. Noticed these packs of figures, they were dark blue. Citadel all over them, full of weird and wonderful things. So yeah, that sparked my interest for the wargaming side of it. So anyway, I went rushing home, and they were going down another time the following week, so I went with them with my pound coin, which was a lot of money then. Towards it was anyway. That was my pocket money. So I used to go off down there, and at that time most of the individual figures from Citadel were 30p a piece, so I could afford 3 figures at a time. I used to buy all sorts of random stuff. I didn't know it was for gaming, just like look of them. I thought, well, I'll have a go, and anything to hand at the time was enamel paints, so that's how I started painting figures. No undercoat, no nothing, bang, straight on with enamel paints. Of course everybody knows that, that's like muck to a blanket. Once it's on you can't get it off. It takes a lot of soaking. I wouldn't like to do it now with the old lead figures, to be fair. So yeah, so that's where I started, doing stuff. Of course, I carried on going down, and the bloke who run the shop was Chris Harbour at the time. They were there for a good few years. War Games Club used to be across the road from it, in Old Church Hall. So yeah, I kept going down there. I never went to War Games Club. Just kept going down, buying random stuff. And then I remember the miniatures coming out with Slaughter Base. Excuse me. Yeah, Slaughter Base figures, and the pocket money had gone up a bit by then. I think I was about 12, 13, before my dad had died. And I think it was, £1.50 for 5 figures. And it weren't long after the initial release of the feudal range and the Vikings and the Normans. So I think that would make it 83, 84, possibly 85 latest. I can't quite remember. So I used to go down there and get a pack of figures, you know, 5 of them, £1.50, and they were the first models really that got me sort of hooked. Not full fantasy, but they were there. It was the second edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle at that point, and not long since come out. All the add-on box scenario things came out as well. But yeah, I steadily slogged away, getting bits and bobs to do with the Vikings and what have you. So I've got some of those. Weren't long after that, I found out you needed undercoat. So I started off like everybody else using white undercoat. And then lo and behold, the latest, invention came out was the first lot of Citadel paints. And I think these box sets, I think 9 paints were in them, something like that. They were £9.99. Again, my pocket money wasn't that much, but I used to save up, or I used to get them sort of things for my birthday and what have you. So I remember getting the first set, rushing down on my birthday. It used to be a fair old slog, to be fair. Well, it weren't a fair old slog, but it's empty at the time. But I'd either walk it or go down a push bike. But where it was down one of the steep hills, and even then trying to ride a push bike up it, you couldn't do it. You had to get off and push it up to the top. I used to, every time I went down, I used to speed aim as fast as I can, burst the blister packs open, get the figures out, not realising you had to glue them into the bases. That's how primitive it all was for me then. So that was the start of going down the fantasy line. I used to buy goblins from time to time, few orcs, things like that. Still hadn't properly played the rules. I played a couple of times for second edition. Then third edition came out a bit later. Bought the rules, but I've never ever played them. Still got the rules. But later on as well, the Oriental Heroes come out. The initial box set that Ali did with the solid bases had already been out for a while, but a load of slaughter base stuff had come out, and they really caught my attention, and I've got loads of them sitting in the other room. Really ought to get stuck into them. Oh God, it's gone 2 o'clock here. I am tired, but I just can't get to sleep. So anyway, used to get those. So yeah, and then the 4th edition came out, and I started playing a lot of that, but that's for a different video. Also at the time when I used to go down to this shop, Foundry had made its first release of Wargames figures. The initial range was English Civil War, which is still going, so that makes them 40 odd years old. Maybe 40-year-old. It's their oldest range, I think. That came out also at the same time as that. They released some Celts and some Romans, but they didn't stay around for long. But I remember buying some of the English Civil War figures, and I think down at my mum's, the first ever English Civil War figures painted, and it's down there and it's all in enamel. I'll have to try and find it and bring it up for you to look at. That was the first launch into the historical range. I think not long after that it was the Franco-Prussian figures came out, and that didn't interest me. And then again, not long after that, I can't remember what year it would be, but the Indian Mutiny came out, and I quite like those. So that's how I first initially got into doing wargaming. It was my mates, they were into it. Went down, obviously one of my mates at school as well, he was well into it, and he'd got enough money to be able to get plenty, and he used to bring figures in for me to look at. We used to have conversation in what we used to call registration group before you went out to your lessons. So me and him used to chat, and that sort of all inspired me, and that's what got me into it. But in the shop window, there'd be displays, dioramas or what have you. And this was initially done by what was known as the Players Guild. If you want to know more about that, I think it's some of the early journals from the 80s had articles in about them. And it were a group of lads from local They used to do these big games. They used to go down and do big games at open days for Citadel Miniatures, and in that group of people included David Andrews, or Dave Andrews, who later was employed by Games Workshop. I think he started off doing line drawings and stuff and getting involved in sculpting eventually. But it was him and his mates that did all these wonderful buildings, all made out of card and plaster. I mean, at the time, that was the bee's knees. That was the awe-inspiring thing that got me into it. And then I bought some of the journals. I'll dig them out and we'll do a talk on them at some other point. But yeah, that's what got me heavily down into the fantasy route. You sit back and look at it now, I'm getting a bit of a nostalgia trip for it. Yeah, I went through a phase in I would say between 16 to early 20s where I didn't do much, gave stuff away. Some stuff ended up in bin. I know, sacrilege, but at the time you don't realise it. So yeah, and then obviously the historical stuff, the English Civil War, I've always had an interest in that. Led to me doing some sort of, well, not some sort, but doing reenactment of the period as well for a number of years. So yeah, I mean, I used to buy the historical magazines. So that's how I initially got into it. Fortunately, my dad died when I was young, at 14. Well, I was 14 to be fair. And I sort of threw myself at that point into doing figure painting and things. Sort of kept myself to myself. Sort of became a bit of a recluse at the time. It's one of the things that I really got into, and it's always been one of those things that I've dropped back to, or now heavily back into. It tries to keep me focused. Brings back quite a few good memories actually of my youth. Wargaming. But yeah, I mean, so we say, I got second edition. I did have the first edition eventually, but I got second edition. Bought third edition, never played it, and then fourth edition came out, and I got heavily into playing that. But so we say, we'll hit that on another video at some point. So yeah, I've seen all the aspects of the paints developed from Games Workshop, Citadel, all the brushes, glues and everything. No painting guides as such till later on, but like I said, I started off with a white undercoat, and then an article came out, and I think it was by Rick Priestley, and it was called Paint It Black, and I think that's in one of the journals, and it went on about black undercoat and colours to use and layering colours over each other, like, shade, mid-tone and highlight. And yeah, I found that a lot easier to use black undercoat, and then the three-step colours. Some of them you had to mix, not as good as paints as they are now, and a bit hit and miss how you got the shades. But it was a big learning curve. So I say, there was none of this, take one part this, one part that, and what you get in magazines now of what colours to use and things. There was none of that. So a lot of the painting at the time, especially then, was moving away from enamel, which took forever to dry, and obviously as a youngster you're bloody impatient. So yeah, but then the first release of the Citadel paints came out, and they worked lovely over white undercoat. You started to try them over black, and learned that some colours were rubbish compared to others were going over black, so you had to learn to get around that with mixing colours and things to be able to cover over, or using paint white over something that had to be light, and then use the colours like yellow and reds and various other things with a white base. So yeah, it's self-taught really. So that was my beginning part, journey into wargaming. I look back with fond memories on it, and then some frustration at the time. So yeah, that's how I got into gaming and where I started. I'll probably do another video on the rules and how I moved on with things, and in another video. I'm going to try and find some of those journals out. You might find I'm going off on a nostalgia trip at some point with figures as well. I hope that you all enjoy it. So thanks very much for joining. Coming and viewing this video. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's joined. I've reached 121 members, so it's one more than I set out for. So I think I'm going to set a goal to reach 130 members by the end of October. And if you could help me achieve that, that'd be much appreciated. If you try and watch the videos as much as you can, if you don't get bored, and if you've got this far, thank you very much without leaving me. Yeah, it's all appreciated apparently. Like, subscribe and all that lot. I don't know, there's a new thing called hype. I don't know whether my videos have them on it. Apparently if you hit that, it bumps it up, gets it spread around a bit more, because apparently all these algorithms and things have changed. So if you like, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell as well, so you get these videos through, because all the algorithms have changed, and you're not forced to get notified, not forced to be having my videos come back in on your feed. So if you want to keep up to date, subscribe as well, hit the notification button, and yeah, everything else, thumbs up. It'll all help share the channel. So once again, from myself, thank you very much for following. Thank you very much for giving me the inspiration to do these, because without you I won't be able to do this. Yeah, so anyway folks, have a good week, have a good day, whatever you're doing. Enjoy your hobby, and I'll catch you all soon. Thank you. Goodbye.